Call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Approval of the minutes. We have 2 minutes to approve.
Everybody make sure your microphones are on.
I'll make a motion to approve the August and September 2020 minutes as presented.
I'll second.
A motion to approve as minutes are written. A second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Too many papers. There are no interested citizens. They don't love us anymore.
Must be doing something right.
Yeah, maybe we did something right.
That's the way of thinking about it. Nice work.
They do love us then.
That's right.
All right.
They're waiting outside for the cards.
They're waiting outside to
Celebrations.
waylay us.
It might be at the park now.
Right, there we go.
Parks report. Mike?
Stopped by Mike Whittam yesterday. It looks nice. Leaves are starting to fall. Went by Country Glen yesterday also. It was nice. It was being actually used quite a bit. People were playing some kickball and going around the trail. The grass looks great this time of year. When it finally starts getting watered. And it looked good to me, from what I could tell. I didn't go along the backside, so I'm not sure how that actually looks along the trail. I'll wait for your report and see if anything's changed.
I see.
That's it.
Okay. Clay?
Yeah, I went by Willamette Manor this afternoon. The only thing that looked out of place was it looked like either maybe a tractor or somebody hit the soft grass going down by the pickleball court, where you got a wheel, like probably 6-7 feet of wheel into the grass, probably about that deep. That's the only thing that stood out. I'm sure it'll easily repaired once the.
Is it in the first part of the pathway?
No, it was down by the pickleball court.
Oh, way down there? Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it didn't look like it was a tractor. I couldn't tell what it was because there wasn't a second wheel. It was like a single. So maybe somebody had a mono thing that was going to ride their skateboard thing on there and got stuck. I couldn't tell.
Okay.
Bear. I walk by Bear every couple of days and it looks fine. The nice thing about Bear is over the years it's been thinned out, as you know, and not easy. People can't easily hide back there like they used to, and we have the walking path right through the middle, so it keeps it pretty clean and no nonsense going on. So yeah, it all looks good though. Thanks.
Thank you, Clay. Mr. Holland?
Yes, sir. Well, I haven't been this month at Hidden Creek, but I'm there all the time at the Little League complex. It has to be the busiest place in town. All week long, the cars are packed up for practice, and then on Saturdays and Sundays, if it's not raining, full house. Full house. And they put tournaments on from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock in the evening. That's been going on all summer. Hasn't stopped, but we do as much business in 1 month as we did of all of last year. So it's a busy place. And I'm working with Robert on the parking, and I don't know if he's done any more on it for the Kaiser Little League complex. Any questions on what's going on?
But yeah, actually, we're following all the guidelines for safety out there? Sounds busy, so.
Well, to answer your question, when we first started, they would only let so many people in. And they had somebody on the gate all the time monitoring that. And then it got to the point where they'd leave no fans in. So there for 2 or 3 weekends, we did no concessions at all because it's just the parents that buy the concessions. And now they're back to letting people in pretty heavy, and the last time it was real heavy. So it's their responsibility, the two groups, NAFA and West Coast Premier, although I keep saying we got liability on that too, and I don't know what to do. I worry about the bathrooms more than anything else. at that complex because that place is used so heavy, the bathrooms. To give you, for instance, we go through, just in hand towels, in one day when the tournaments are going on, we go through 5,400 feet of hand towels, if you can believe that. It's a lot.
In one day?
In one day when the tournaments are going on. Those bathrooms are lined up, especially on the girls' side, they're lined up 2 or 3 deep or more to get into the bathrooms. There's four stalls in the women's. And so they're heavily used because the women do not like to use the chemical toilets that are there. And we have 2 chemical toilets in addition to the permanent bathrooms that we use. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you gotta bleach those bathrooms twice a day. That's what the food people are saying because bleach kills everything. And that's probably, if somebody ever catches anything, it'll probably be because of the bathrooms more than anything else.
Clint, is there any hand dryers? Or
There,
electric dryers?
I was in the process of looking at buying hand dryers. We have not done that, and I want to put them in both bathrooms because we're always running out. I mean, we're changing toilet paper every 15 minutes, and they're great big rolls like that. So, but blowers, that's something to look at the coming years.
Mr. Dwyer.
So Trumbull Jones Skate Park, that whole area stays busy. Throughout the last couple months, the splash pad's been fairly busy off and on. I know I brought my son down here one weekend and we spent a couple hours down there and it was a lot of fun. Some work and stuff going on that I'll let Robert talk about because I don't want to steal his thunder. Wallace House, just continues to improve all the time. 2 weekends ago, myself and the Claggett Creek Watershed Council led a volunteer effort of folks from the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association and the Order of the Arrow Scout Group. And we had, I think it was 15 scouts and probably a half a dozen adults from the Order of the Arrow come down. And not a single person that was with that group actually lived in Kaiser. So they were all coming down from, I think, as far south as Albany and as far west as Dallas. We had, is that a 5 or 3 yard? 5 yard. So we had a 5 yard dump trailer that I took out to the park, and we filled that thing over the top with debris. I took no less than 20 trips up to the staging area where we had the trailer and stuff, and the garbage cans were full of stuff. Everything from soda cans and styrofoam to clothing to 2 homeless camps that we actually got completely taken down. And then we had, I want to say, somewhere in the ballpark of 20 tires. Some of them were completely full tires. Some of them actually had rims in them. We had about a 10 or 12 foot long rubber hose that we have no idea what it was or where it came from. But we packed that entire trailer completely full. With that, among other things, we had a bunch of blackberry. And so the folks from West Kaiser and then some other folks that come along to help out, Mayor Kathy Clark and Bob Bush and a guy and his wife, I think it was Jolene, and I can't remember what his name was. Trevor was there. Wayne was there. Kathy Lincoln and her husband Tom were there. And then there was another gal with her kids that showed up, and they took out, I think, Wayne, what did you bring up, 3 or 4 wheelbarrow loads of blackberries? Yeah. And they planted over 100 plants along the outflow valve. And if you're not familiar with it, the outflow valve basically takes excessive runoff from the stormwater system and basically puts it out into a large stone basin where it can go and kind of filter out, let sediment fall and all that kind of stuff, and ultimately goes out to the river. The embankment of that outflow valve in the last big rain, which I think was probably in the spring or so, actually eroded a little bit. And so by doing this planting, it will do some bank stabilization for that. You know, it was pretty incredible to see the volume of plants that were able to get planted, the volume of trash that was able to get picked up. And then we put down, I think 70 or 80 pounds of grass seed throughout that whole lower 5-acre area. It probably put a very small dent in the amount of grass seed that's actually going to go down there. But, you know, for having less than 30 volunteers, it was an incredibly successful project, and we're going to probably take that project up again. If I can get it coordinated, we might try to do it before the winter starts in, but will kind of depend. I'm a wing down right now, so we'll see. But regardless, we can definitely get some more stuff done in the spring. I know Robert and his guys are going to probably do a bunch more seeding and putting some hay down along some of the key areas for erosion control and things like that. But really good project. In fact, I got a text from Robert, I think it was yesterday, and there was another 16 plus bags of trash that was found up at the park. And we had another individual who I don't know who they were, but they were down picking up trash and stuff in the lower south part of the 5-acre area down there, and was able to bring 16 additional bags up. So there's still probably a half a dozen or so tires that are buried so far into the ground it was almost impossible to get to. One was kind of like wedged into the growth of a tree. Found a hot water tank that we're not really sure how we're going to get that out, but it was outside of the means that we had on that day. But just incredible effort. I mean, it was insane, the kind of random trash we would find down there. A lot of it left over from, you know, high waters and things like that. And unfortunately, it might be something that is a reoccurring theme as high waters and stuff come up. But because of the work that was done a few months ago with clearing that area out, access and the ability to get some of that stuff out is a lot quicker. It shouldn't settle into the ground as much, and being able to get it out of there should be a lot easier to do. So really, really proud of that effort, and want to thank the Order of the Arrow Group, West Kaiser Neighborhood Association et al. That participated, and of course Robert for tolerating my last minute needs and desires for that project. I think I told him at like 2 o'clock the day before, hey, by the way, I need to get pizza for all these volunteers. And he just kind of looked at me and said, okay, what else? But no, Robert and the guys had everything stacked up, you know, all the gator, all the tools, everything. So all I had to do is back in, get the trailers, drag them down, get it all set up. And it was just, it was a really, really perfect volunteer project. So thank you, Robert, for all that. And Wayne, you're always there. I don't even have to ask, you just show up.
Matt, thank you for organizing a cleanup project around the parks. You should do more of those. I'll be there.
Got some, we're going to be coming into, well, I can talk about it later on, other business, but since I've got the mic now, we'll be getting some other projects coming forward soon with the Watershed Council. We'll probably be doing a planting in November. Not exactly sure yet where we're going to do that. We've been doing it traditionally at Kaiser Rapids. We may still do it there. I don't know how many new Rotarians we have and how many new trees we have to plant. But we'll definitely kick it up. Typically in February we do one at Ben Miller, but the need at Ben Miller has been significantly reduced almost entirely because of the efforts that the new park staff has been able to put in down there. So maybe what I can look at doing is, how wet is that basin, do you think, at Wallace House in February? Probably pretty nasty, right?
Yeah, it just depends on the year, but yeah, it definitely sees some high water events through the winter. So I would not recommend planning an event around.
That first shelf, though, if we went in there.
First shelf would be fine.
That first shelf, we went in there and did a bunch of blackberry removal and ivy removal, that might work.
Definitely.
So we'll look at that, but yeah, keep an ear out. I usually post on the 2 Kaiser pages, or you can follow Clyger Creek Watershed Council on Facebook and get some information there. That's all I got, Mr. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Robert, it's your turn.
Okay, I got a few things here we haven't really had the opportunity to talk about for a while, so some of them might seem kind of old. Obviously, the splash fountain shut down for the year. That happened a good 6 weeks ago, I think, but just want to let everybody know about that. Shade sales are down for the season at the Big Toy. Took those down last week on a nice day. Left them up a little longer just because we had a little bit of nice weather there towards the end of September. So just kind of play that by ear every year and put them up when we feel it's appropriate and take them down when we feel it's appropriate. Claggett Creek Park, the replacement of the play structure has begun. Their crew showed up yesterday, started dismantling some of the old play structure equipment, and they'll be down there for about the next 3 to 4 weeks working on replacing that play structure. And they have until November 20th per the contract to get that job done. So that is the absolute last day they can do work unless we extend the contract. So really looking forward to seeing that. Hopefully the weather's good for them. I know it's a little rainy this week, but we do have some pretty good looking weather coming up for the next week or two, so we'll see. And also at Claggett Creek Park, we're working on getting the northern parking lot repaved along Shamal Road entry. And that parking lot, when the detention pond or swale went in years ago, that's on the north side of it, somehow the parking lot got kind of shrank and or crooked. And so it was 53 feet wide on one end and 60 feet wide on the other end. In order to do head-in parking down both sides, we need it to be 60 feet wide the whole length. So park staff and a combination of stormwater staff went in and we actually widened the footprint of the parking lot and created a new base to pave over along the edge. So it's going to be a nice uniform 60 feet all the way down. And How Construction was low bid on the paving there, so their plan is to come in by the end of the month and add pavement down the sides and then do a 2-inch overlay of the entire parking lot. So it'll look like a nice brand new parking lot when we're all done. And that'll double the amount of parking we can stripe within that site. So for when we have our, large soccer games, field rentals, various barbecues and birthday parties in the summer, we should be able to fit more cars in that parking lot. So that'll be a really good thing to have. Paving up north of there throughout the Hidden Creek Country Glen area that's been talked about. We're going to let the Claggett Creek job get done and then take a look at how much funds we have left over. And I think we're going to be able to probably do some more paving than what we originally talked about. So maybe not just through Hidden Creek, but hopefully into the Country Glen area where we've had some trip hazards continuing. It's in our budget for this year, but I'm hoping to get just as much of that pathway paving updating done as possible. So if we can get a little bit more done than what we originally thought, that would be great. So we're still trying to work that out, trying to get this parking lot thing done, and then we'll take a fresh approach, fresh look up there and see if we can't maybe do a little bit more than what we originally, just Hidden Creek was what we talked about where those tree roots are at. But Country Glen, it's got that elevation issue. It's been that way for 16, 17 years since it was built, but I think just overall we're getting a higher use of that park and we're seeing more people there and we're starting to hear about more of a hazard. So it would be nice to get that done this year as well, if possible. So we'll be working on that. And then we've had a couple Eagle Scout projects taking place right now. One was down at Wallace House Park, where Matt and his crew did the cleanup. He was able to provide a new wood chip trail that goes down from the main parking lot over the hill, down onto the upper flat area, I'll call it, and then it actually rolls down into the low and starts to kind of head out into the direction that we cleared a lot of the blackberries and reed canary grass. And I'll just say every time I've gone down to that park since we've cleared it out, I've seen people using areas of the park that they never used to be able to get to, and they all have a smile on their face and they all tell me this is awesome and they really enjoy having access down to the river now. And before they never felt safe and now they do, and it's just really neat to see that neighborhood and people travel down there from all over, just being able to use that park again in an area that really, since I've worked here, has not been a usable area of the park. It's kind of just been an area that you kind of stay out of and put eyes on every once in a while, and now it's drawing people in there. So thank you for all the cleanup efforts. I really, really do appreciate the work you guys did. And I can't wait to see what that park brings down in the
Question on
future.
that, the dedicated path that was carved out.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention Gary Whalen. And if you don't know Gary Whalen, I'm not surprised. He's a very quiet volunteer, always behind the scenes. He was down there. He did a bunch of the seating as well. But
Awesome.
as I was taking him down to the south side on the dedicated carved out path, there was a tree that fell between when you and Chance and I were out there.
Oh, really?
And so I don't know if it was part of the dedicated path or if maybe it just looked like part of the path and I was driving down the wrong area, but you might want to give that a look.
Will do.
And it looked like a fairly fresh
Fall.
yeah.
We have had some winds. We've lost quite a few tree limbs this week. No trees, thankfully, yet.
But it was a large cottonwood, so,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was
that
full
sounds
tree.
about right.
So,
Thank you. Also, we have an Eagle Scout, Blaine Elder. He's been working over here at the gazebo, getting that repainted. Pretty big project. They've been working on it as they've had time every weekend, and they're making good progress. They've got it cleaned. They've got the rust primed with a certain primer that helps eat away the rust and kind of capsulizes it, and then they're getting ready to do the painting here very soon. They have a nice about 10-day stretch of good weather coming up, so I hope and anticipate that they'll be done with that by the end of the month. So we'll see what happens with that, but definitely grateful for the Eagle Scouts and all they do as well. They've been a large part of doing projects over the number of years, and it's just fun to see. Wow, I had another Eagle Scout actually since we've talked last finish a trail project down at Kaiser Rapids as well. So, and then we have one doing the greenhouse update in the community garden. So worked with 4 Eagle Scouts in the last 2 months. So that's fun.
how's Jeff's project coming along?
The exercise equipment. So there were some delays with that. It's extremely challenging to get rental equipment right now, and they were having, they had crews put together to get an auger, and they actually had an auger that was supposed to be theirs to use, reserved. They showed up, it wasn't there, it went to somebody else. Pretty standard thing going on right now with equipment. So unfortunately that post-hole digging day was postponed. Of course, Mark Collier is unavailable right this second, but as soon as he is back and available, their crew is ready to get that finished and installed. So it's just been one challenge after another. We kind of went from this COVID thing to the end of the season. A lot of contractors are extremely busy right now trying to wrap projects up, and equipment availability is not the greatest. So, but it will get done. I've been promised, and they're getting it as fast as they can.
Those are right now going in at Kaiser Rapids
And Wallace House.
House.
Yes.
And nothing else?
One that he already put up was at Meadows earlier in the year.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that one's finished.
Okay.
These are the Wallace House Park and Kaiser Rapids Park are more of the in-ground, spread out, different exercise pads
More
and
like
pull-up
the ones
bars.
at,
Yep,
Claggett.
similar to, Claggett.
Yeah.
The one at Kaiser Rapids will be, both of these are a little bit larger than what we have over there, but Kaiser Rapids will be the largest.
I'm
If you
excited.
don't know, for those of you who don't know where they're going at Kaiser Rapids, the trail that leads, it goes east and west, basically behind the amphitheater. It's a paved trail. There's a stop sign where the traffic goes across. It's just on the east side of where the stop sign is at. If you were driving a vehicle down towards the boat ramp, it'd be to the left of the stop sign.
It's
So,
by the fence.
It's a good, near the fence. It's a good centrally located area, but it's not near anything else really. I didn't want to clump it in with something else to take away from the amphitheater, take away from the big toy. And it's along a heavily used exercise trail already, but it's not too far of a walk for those who live in that neighborhood nearby to come through the alleyway there and be able to utilize that if they don't want to go on a long walk. So that's kind of how we came up with the location of it. It should work really well. and it's also very visible from many different angles of the park. So those who might not know it's there might see it and go use it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think your spot for that was perfect because you're right, get right in from the access. I live pretty close.
Yeah.
Frequently run by. That is exactly where I would want it to be for that.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah.
Master plan, we,
I do not have a for sure update for you other than the process has been done. We've selected a contractor. They're working on trying to get a contract with them.
So
Been
first of the year,
finalized, so I should have a really good update for you next meeting. Yes, that's on our winter list of things to do. Very soon.
so we need to have really short meetings in the next few months, right?
It might be really long. I don't know.
Well, last time we met was really short. This one's running okay.
I think that Eagle Scout was a little beside himself coming in for $90 and what did we give him, 150?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just didn't believe that he was going to be able to get it done for that
No,
much.
With lumber prices going up the way it was, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
that was cool. The look on his face was pretty awesome. Like, wait, what? Not only did you say yes, but you didn't, that's awesome.
So,
I got nothing.
it's other business time, Matt.
I got nothing.
Oh, you already used it.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I'm terribly
I got-
disappointed.
I got a couple of things.
Okay.
They're basically, as I've been talking to people lately, I've been asked regarding parks about like environmental impact. So the clearing out of the area down there at Wallace House, I was asked like, oh, well, what was the thought with that as far as like, you know, the natural growth being taken away? Was there any thought in like how the environmental impact might be? I'm not certainly not qualified to answer that question, but I don't know if there was any like studies done prior that we already like looked at or anything like that.
I wouldn't say there's any formal studies. We absolutely considered the impact of what we were doing, but I think we were making a greater impact by removing the homeless camps, the potential hazards of needles being down there, kids that could stumble upon things that they shouldn't, and also all of the debris that Matt and his crew removed that was in the floodplain of the river, that it floods out every year down there, that goes underwater multiple times a year. And as he said, you know, their crew literally removed 5 yards of debris that would have otherwise just
Loaded.
flooded and washed down river, who knows where, plus another 16 bags of garbage full from someone else, we don't know who it was yet, that we were able to go clean up. We are doing, like Matt said, reseeding some areas. I've had our environmental staff down there taking a look at it, talking through some things. And I will tell you, you know, the deer, I've seen deer in the park every time I'm down there. They're still down there using it like crazy. If anything, I think the deer might like it a little more. They're very curious and adventurous, and they're still using the park every day. Yeah, maybe we took away a little bit of their hiding spots in the initial cleanup efforts, but it doesn't seem to be bothering them. They travel up and down that river probably a couple miles every day, the deer. They just wander through there and up into the neighborhood. Actually, for those that don't know, in that general area of town, there's a lot of deer that venture up into the neighborhood. I've had neighbors call me multiple times wondering what I'm going to do about the deer in their backyard, and I'm like, I'm not going to do anything, I'm sorry. They're kind of town deer, if you will.
Yeah,
But-
I've been by.
Yeah.
They just wander. Some of them will just wander up and eat from you if you have an apple
Yep,
in your hand
yep.
or whatever. Yeah.
We left all the large significant trees, so if there's any bird nesting going on up in the trees, you know, we didn't disturb that.
Well, and we're eliminating invasive species
Yep.
and replanting with native.
Yep.
And so I think that's kind of, one of the things that we do with the watershed is really have that emphasis on removal of invasive and planting of native. And it does a lot to shore up the stabilization of the soils, but it also eliminates the blackberries. And
Yeah.
I mean, the blackberry thing down there is probably going to be a 5 to 10 year battle if
For
it's
sure.
if it's constantly thought, but, you know, just Chance even talking about the different sprays and stuff that we have to be careful. We're not moving earth because then you got to do 1,200 C permit. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I think having Chance and the environmental team engaged in it. I mean, I wasn't even allowed to do the project until Chance came down and said, okay, this is kind of what we're looking at. And so they're very conscious of that. I got similar questions from some of the West Kaiser folks. But, you know, between Robert, and I mean, Robert, you used to do environmental before, correct?
I have some
Yeah.
experience with it.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, our team, I think in general, that's the first hurdle you got to get over before you even do anything down there, has been my experience. So we're very, that's a good question. I think it's something to be considerate about, but
Did you mention that you guys planted about, I don't know, what was it, 70
100.
plants along the outfall?
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it.
yeah, so we
native
did, and,
plants.
and it was purposeful in the way that Robert kind of designed it. The top sort of layer was various plants that I can't pronounce the names of, and then the side banks were the strawberry plants that are a very good sort of spread plant that will go in and absorb into that bank a little bit. And,
Yeah.
you know, Tom was down, I think his last name's Anderson, but maybe that's not right. Anyways, Kathy's husband was down there, and you know, he knows this. He did firefighting stuff, and so he understands, you know, the wildlife necessities and stuff like that. So he was very purposeful, and I just said, you understand this, take care of it. And Wayne's been around doing a lot of these projects too, and Wayne knows all about this stuff. So I had the smartest people doing the planning there, which was awesome. So, because I wasn't there.
You mentioned sprays.
Yeah.
I was also asked about that and what kind of, also related to environment, is like what kind of consideration we take in like our herbicide and pesticide use in our parks.
So, I mean, in general, we use as little as possible, but there's no way having as many parks as we have and as many acres as we have to be able to maintain our grounds without utilizing some herbicides. So we try to keep it at a minimum. We try to post signs every time we do spraying. We post signs in the park, you know, notifying the public that we've used this herbicide, and we leave those signs up for a minimum of 24 hours. Down there along the river, depending on where we're at, there could be some restrictions of what herbicides can and cannot be used if it's near a certain distance of a waterway. So any contractor that we hire would definitely know and understand that and select certain herbicides to be sprayed. We do subcontract out the majority of our spraying to professionals that do this for a living, and that, quite frankly, have a lot more training with specific herbicides than our park staff do. I am a licensed applicator. I do some applicating throughout the year, but it's very minimum. So, I mean, definitely we keep all of those things in check and make sure we're doing it properly. So, on average, our parks get sprayed, fence lines and tree circles, about twice a year. We could do it a lot more than that. You know, your average homeowner's probably out spraying weeds about every 4 to 6 weeks. We choose to do it on a lesser scale, as minimal as possible, but still keep our grounds looking decent, you know? I mean, there's times of the year where you drive by and you're like, geez, that fence line like has weeds growing along it. But I mean, it's that, or do you want chemicals applied every month, you know? So
Yeah.
there's a balance, and we try to balance, I'll say, more on the lesser side of things, just because it's definitely a topic that's received differently to different people.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own opinion on those, and I think we could all agree that less is better chemical-wise, but people need to understand that you know, vinegar doesn't truly go kill all the weeds like people say. I mean, it's not that easy. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I just figured I needed to do due diligence in asking about it because I was
Sure.
asked a couple of times. So,
Cool.
yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Any other business? And we stand adjourned at 6:36.